Well, we're nearly at the end of the show, Andy. We've got to ask you, Collingwood, of course, West Coast, MCG, big grand final. I hope it doesn't get to this, and I can see why it should, but I love the one game and it's all decided. West Coast finish top at the end of this season, or they're second. They play Collingwood, who finish fourth or fifth. Now we both get into the grand final. The reward for West Coast is we get to go and play Collingwood at their home ground. Should there be a best of three? First game at West Coast, rewarding the team that finishes higher for the year. Next game, obviously, at the home team, which would be MCG for Collingwood. If it goes to three, it's back to West Coast.
Wow. I like what you're saying.
More money for the AFL, more chance for the fans to get to see it.
More chance, that's right. That means there's going to be 300,000 to view the grand final. You'd rather be on the last ticket, of course. A lot of pressure, isn't it? For those 22 will probably need your whole 30 to, to cover that sort of timetable. But look, I always think there's a bit of an advantage being an interstate club, because you know you've got 11 home games, and they have to travel to play against you. So you win 80% of those, you win 20% away, and you're going to play in the finals. Understand that Collingwood, no question, play most of their games at the G, but they're playing also against teams that's their home ground.
They went to West Coast towards the end of the season.
So they don't travel much, but they get to. West Coast get to play teams that travel 4 hours, completely out of their comfort zone. To play them.
It's a huge advantage for West Coast.
It's a huge advantage. So I think you just about nearly can tick your Sydney and your West Coast, and obviously our two teams are very disappointing this year, but they both looked the goods during the year to nearly to play in the finals. So I think that's an advantage in itself.
Let me ask you this: if you were coach of West Coast, would you rather have the first game at West Coast, or are you quite happy to go? If they said to you, "We'll give you a choice, you can have a game here or a game at the MCG," which one are you going to pick as the West Coach?
West Coast, cool.
Every time.
Every time.
So common sense says it's a disadvantage to go to the MCG and play. The other thing that, and again, I love the grand final, but I went last year and watched it, and fortunately I was right in amongst the supporters, but I've been to other finals where I'm not in amongst the corporates, and there's no atmosphere.
There's no atmosphere, no.
Are we losing a little bit?
Well, it's very corporate.
We have to support so much of the corporates?
It's really interesting, and I know we were chatting off air before about it with Pino from Gridiron. You go to a college game, and it's so exciting, and it's so exciting. You go to NFL game, and it's slow, and it's all for TV. It is very corporate now, the AFL.
All right, let me pose this one, because you've been a part of these, so you can answer this one really well. Anzac Day game versus grand final. Which one's got the better atmosphere? The
atmosphere is way better at Anzac, because you've got,
Collingwood,
50-50. It's fantastic at the moment. I was very surprised last year how many Richmond supporters there were. I think there was a lot of supporters that got hold of tickets and thought, well, Richmond haven't won for a long time. I'll put on one of their scarves. But I don't think there's so many people who'll do that to Collingwood. That's for sure. So I think you're going to get that sort of atmosphere of diehard Collingwood who are able to get a ticket. The West Coast, of course, and the rest will be corporates and that of interest.
It'll still be a ripping day.
What I do find this disadvantage is that buy. I still can't understand the buy. You work so hard. You get into the stadium and in a marathon, and then you're about to do your last lap. And you say, hang on, I'll wait for all the other teams to join me, and then we'll go. And I don't understand. I think that's a disadvantage more so for the top teams than some of these play away or play at the MCG.
They threw the buy-in to stop players and teams resting players in the last game before the final started.
That's what sport's all about.
Mate, they'll find a way. Coaches always find a way to outsmart the system.
Find a way.
No doubt about that. Who's going to win? Collingwood, West Coast?
I really think West Coast. I was really impressed by West Coast, and they probably had a pretty easy sort of game. Where I thought the Collingwood Richmond, that was a tough game. Is
McGovern gone? Is he out of here?
He's out.
Is he at Richmond?
I think he's out. I think he'll go to Richmond. He'll go to Richmond.
And maybe a little bit of mail. You seem to think there's a Crows player that might.
I think there'll be a Crows player.
Jump across down.
Might cross over to Port Adelaide. So we just keep
high
an eye.
Profile.
We'll just keep our eye on that. That's for sure.
Okay. All right.
I reckon we've had enough. You've done enough talking today. You've done a brilliant job too, by the way.
I'm happy to stop talking.
I want you just to sit there, relax, because what I've been able to sort of put together, because a lot of people say, "Oh, geez, Phil Smythe was a great basketballer," and I'd say, "Well, arguably he's probably one of the best basketballers that Australia's ever produced." So, in saying that, I want the viewers just to sit back, I got 2 or 3 minutes of the great Phil Smythe on Vision. Enjoy it.
Time Olympian, has done it all, 3 championships as a player, 3 as a coach. He'll go down forever as one of the best.
I know, and I had the pleasure of playing against him. He's a great player and a great gentleman too out on the court, great sportsman. But I think he was the true point guard, the first one that I ever saw that actually thought pass before shooting first, actually shot the basketball very well, very excellent defender, all-around player. Probably all that international experience always helped.
Phil Smythe arrived at the Cannons in 1983, and he was the start of everything, really, because he was the one who really attracted all of the other players to Canberra, because everybody wanted to play with Phil Smythe.
I heard a lot of rumours about Phil Smythe before the Cannons signed him, but didn't know much about him. But once he stepped off the plane and you got to train with him and get to know what he was, you knew that he was a quality player and that he was going to, lead the team pretty much at every department.
Well, there's no championships without that rudder. He was the rudder. He was the one that guided the boat. Phil was the guy that actually steadied the ship, got the ball to the right players, and then no one really knew him as a scorer. But occasionally he'd bust it out with a 30 if you forgot about him after he done set up everyone out. Also, he wanted to cut off the rest
Feeling
of his
sorry for
supply.
the people at home watching it.
Oh, isn't it fantastic? I'm loving it.
I think he was definitely a key figure on the Bobby Turner's reign in particular.
Multitasking, I'm happy. He was
Very happy, mate. Very happy.
Phil Smythe would be the best defender I've seen, no question.
That one very clever with some very old
both
footage.
Athletically and technique-wise,
that.
Phil was the best defender. You were always aware of where he was, and you could see the damage he was doing to someone. I don't think we've seen a defender like him, an Australian defender. You probably won't.
When the 36ers signed Phil in 1993, there was great excitement. There was a sense that it might be the beginning of a new era, because a lot of people also felt that down the track Phil would be coaching the 36ers, as has eventuated. So in 93, when the prodigal son and one of the favourite sons as far as basketball goes came back to the state, there was just great excitement.
In terms of running a team, you dance to Phil's music, and he was going to control it. I thought for his size and his toughness and his wiry little body, he looked like he had to jump around the shower to get wet. He was a tough
flop, mate. A little flop in there.
I think it's indicated
Everyone's got to have one of those,
championships as a player, as a coach. Not just one, he's won numerous. So, yeah, he's my pick as the number 1 Australian player.
I was sitting at a restaurant down at Glenelg at Mama Camella's, that we were going to stick together no matter what happened. We wouldn't focus on the negative, and we'd all stay positive and try and win this championship. And then at the end of the day, well, we walked away, at least we had a championship to show for it.
Brett Maher, great player.
Marty.
Great bloke.
Ripping bloke.
Just a great bloke.
Yep.
Deserved all that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. What about that?
Seriously, you blokes are kidding, aren't you?
Superstar. Well, I mean, you don't
Superstar, mate.
understand.
Oh, wow.
You don't
Yeah,
understand
gee
it. I mean, like as a kid growing up and watching the greatest, and now I'm sitting here. I know you're a little bit older, but to watch that, it just brings back so many fantastic memories. It really
I'm
does.
waiting for you to say
what
something
a great
about the
career.
hairstyle. I appreciate
I was got to actually say, geez, who's that young bloke with that hair? They've got the wrong
With the
vision.
mullet, you're
They've got
gonna
the wrong
bring that up?
vision. I was going to say anything after I just saw that, mate. That was brilliant.
Very humbling. Thank you
Beautiful.
very much, mate.
Fantastic.
Yeah, good on you. Is that the end of the show? Can I go home now?
Oh, well, thank you very much for being with us. We'll see you next week.